Think about a recent accomplishment or a win you're proud of. What habits helped you get there? What habits were behind that accomplishment? Now, here's why I'm asking you this. We all know the value of good habits. And chances are, if you're anything like me, you've consumed your fair share of self help advice, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, or reading books about how to build better habits. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, right? We all want to improve ourselves, whether it's getting more productive, working out regularly, eating better, or even living a minimalist lifestyle. Those are all great goals. But here's the question I don't see anyone asking. How often do we actually stop and audit our habits? How often do we recognize the habits that are running on autopilot? Habits that might actually be undermining our progress. Now, I'll be honest, even as I reflect on my own journey, there are habits that I still let run on autopilot. And sometimes those habits get in the way of what I really want to achieve. And again, if I'm being honest, I don't think I've done enough to change it. And so that's what I want to talk about today. What self-help doesn't tell you about habits. And the answer is simpler than you think. And because it's so simple, we often overlook it. So lean in and turn your volume up. Have you ever heard of the expression, my way or the highway? If you have, great. But if not, here's the quick explanation. It's when someone insists on things being done their way with no room for alternatives or compromises. And so it's conveying a sense of inflexibility, suggesting that if you don't agree with the approach, then you're out of luck. You're on your own. Well, too often we allow our habits to treat us this way, as if we have no choice, as if they're permanent fixtures that can't be changed. But the truth is, habits are more like temporary collaborators, here to serve us when they're helpful and gone when they no longer are, or at least that's how we should treat them. See, if a habit no longer serves you, your goals, or your purpose, it's okay to let it go. And if it's something that's not working, you don't have to keep forcing it just because someone else told you how amazing it is and how well it's worked for them. Here's what no one is saying. We need to let habits evolve and be replaced when they're no longer useful. And that's the advice that we need more of, because everything in this self-help space is spoon feeding us more, right? More information, more habits to add to our plate in order to improve ourselves. And of course, we say yes, right? So let me get this straight. If I commit to this habit for 30 days, I'll be more successful. Yeah, 30 days, a new system, a more productive and better you. But the question I have is this: is that what you want? Are you willing to commit to 30 days? Of course, I want that. Why wouldn't I? Now, sarcasm aside, it's addictive, isn't it? But just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you. See, what we need more of is honesty. For someone to step up and say, hey, slow down. You don't need to embrace every habit being preached to you. It's okay to let some go. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to take a few steps back here and talk about why habits are so important. And this might be a good reminder for you if you're working to get your life together right now. All right. See, we all have our own unique set of automatic habits. We have habits in movement, habits in speech, in behavior, in thought, habits in perception. And many of these habits we've had since we were young, and they've embedded certain ways of being that are tough to change, right? And this is what I was referring to at the beginning of this conversation when I asked, how often do we stop and audit our habits? Or how often do we recognize the habits that are running on autopilot? Because what makes habits so powerful is that most of them are working silently in the background. They shape every part of our day, our behaviors, and even our relationships without us even realizing it, right? Whether it's the first thing we do every morning or the thoughts that run through our head, habits have influence over everything. Now, good habits can help us stay on track, right? And work towards our goals and the things that we want to accomplish. We know this. But bad habits, right? Those sneaky little distractions that happen automatically, they can pull you away from the things that matter to you. And so as you're on your journey right now and you're working hard and you're making meaningful progress towards the things that you want to accomplish, what you don't want to happen is for something that's preventable to paralyze you. And so think about it for a second. What habits are silently shaping your day? Are they helping you move forward or are they holding you back? Now, with all this in mind, when it comes to your habits, you have two choices. Option one, you can say, I don't care. I'm not going to put that much thought into this. I'm just going to roll the dice and see what happens. Or option two, you can take the time to identify which habits are getting in your way and holding you back and do something about it. Now, my vote is the latter of the two. And if you also chose option two, smart choice. Here's how you move forward. Now, as a poet, I love playing with words. And so I want to try something here. And we're going to break this down into a simple framework using the word habit. And this is going to be an easy and quick way to remember 5 steps for identifying and removing habits that no longer serve you. All right. So write this down. Starting with the letter H. The first step is to highlight the habits you engage in daily. And the only thing I want you to do here is start paying attention, right? Pay attention to your day-to-day routine. And you'll be surprised how much insight you gain just by observing yourself and your behaviors. And as you're doing this, grab a notebook, grab a scrap piece of paper, and just highlight those habits that you catch yourself engaging in. Okay. The next step is to assess those habits. And this is all about evaluating them critically. And there are a couple of questions that I want you to work through. The first one is, which of these habits are helping me move toward my goals? The second question is, which ones are distracting me or draining my energy? And then the third question is, are these habits in alignment with where I want to go, or are they holding me back? Are they pulling me off course? Are they pointing me in the wrong direction? Right? And again, as you have that notebook or the scrap piece of paper and you're highlighting those habits, journal about them, assess them, think about them. Are they holding you back? Are these good habits? Are they bad habits? Are these a part of those automatic habits that we don't necessarily pay attention to, but they're hindering your progress? Okay. So assess those habits. The third step, and for the letter B, is all about breaking. Okay. And so what this means is if you come across habits that are blocking your progress or if they're no longer serving you, then you want to break free from them. And remember, you don't have to keep forcing a habit just because it worked for somebody else. This is your journey and you have the power to choose habits that are going to work for you. Okay. After that, we have to introduce new and intentional habits that align with your goals. And so this is all about replacing the old habits with healthier and more productive alternatives. And so this is where I'm going to remind you to stay true to you on this journey, because if you don't, you're going to quickly and easily slip back into that common self-help behavior where you're adding more and more habits on your plate just because someone else told you to. That's not the objective. That's not what we want to do here. Okay. You want to intentionally introduce new habits, and you want those new habits to be intentional. Okay. So be mindful and purposeful about the habits you're adding to your life and be intentional about that. All right. And again, as an example, this could be something super simple, like maybe it's journaling in the morning or going for a walk instead of scrolling through social media on your phone. Okay. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, but you want to be intentional. And then the fifth step here, and finally, we need to track your progress. Okay. So you want to set a reminder to check in with your habits every week. So you want to write them down. You want to see what's affecting your life, how it's affecting your life. You want to track your wins, track your challenges, and make adjustments where you need to make adjustments, right? This process is ongoing. And that's the part that I want you to walk away with this with. It's not a one-time fix, because again, we're continuing to grow on our journeys. We're evolving, and so should our habits. And so that means this is going to be an ongoing process. And the goal here is to monitor your habits and evolve them as your needs change. Make sense? So again, you want to highlight your habits. You want to assess them. You want to break free from the ones that aren't serving you or are blocking your progress. You want to introduce new and intentional habits. And then you want to track your progress. Make changes where you need to make changes and celebrate the wins where you need to celebrate your wins. Now, again, if you follow this habit framework, you will be able to identify habits that are standing in your way. You'll be able to break them and then replace them with ones that are going to help you move forward. And again, this is a simple yet powerful way to control your habits and ultimately your life. But guess what? Self-help doesn't tell you this. Well, until now. Keep growing in your journey, my friend. Keep learning and promise me one thing. Stay true to you. All right? I'll see you next time. Peace.